and country here on Kiwi. It's now 18 away from 9.
A little something for the weekend with Sam Hunt.
Talking about the country, that's where we're headed right now with Sam Hunt. A little something for the weekend. Good morning, Sam.
Hello, Wammo. How are you there?
Good. Where the pollen roams free.
Yeah, that's hay fever and all sorts of things. People falling over all over the place.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's. I mean, it's such a delightful time of the year, but at the same time, it's like, oh, come on. Why am I susceptible to this?
Also, a lot of people around here been, dying, and it's been a lot of sort of strange times,
Really?
But we're continuing, because after today, Alf and I drive down to Auckland, and we are going along with no doubt many people, especially 12-year-olds with their fathers, to Green Day.
Oh, the big old Green Day concert.
That's tonight. We're going tonight. I think it's tonight and tomorrow night in Auckland.
Yeah. No, was it? I think they were. Was it Rolling Stone announced them the band of the decade? I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, Alf, my young 12-year-old, he's Green Day and Chemical Romance, and the bands that I mightn't have heard of if I didn't have a young son. But it's great. I like it, and he's playing them. He's playing a lot of their songs, of course.
Cool.
He was telling me last night, he said that sometimes at the Green Day concerts, apparently they get somebody up to sort of play the guitar part. I said, well, you hope, just keep up your hopes there, Alf.
Yeah. But you'll have to stick him on your shoulders so that he can be seen.
Well, I think we've got pretty good seats, which is nice for them.
Oh, good.
So I won't. I think you. Last week, remember I was talking about Richard Langston?
Yeah.
And who's a lovely poet whose work I've really just come across.
Yeah.
And as we were saying, he's also, there's TV3 he works for, isn't it?
Yeah, Campbell Live.
For Campbell Live, yeah.
He's in Wellington, actually.
Eh?
He's in Wellington.
Yes, he's based in Wellington.
Yeah.
He is indeed, because he sent me his other books over this last week. But there was one I was going to read last week, and I didn't have time. I think it may be to his uncle, but I'm not sure. Yes, but it's a beautiful, I just love it to read, if I may.
Yeah.
And I love single titles. It's called Horses. Too late for bedtime stories. He's telling his stories. She listens in the severity of this late season. This father taking his daughter back beyond their past. The saddest thing he saw, the horses, the slow-moving horses, bred to work in the fields, led one by one, still strong and beautiful, into the knacker's yards. He says the name of each horse into the hospital air, names the wood, iron, and leather parts that bound them together. He remembers a boy walking in their shadows, the great straining under each coat, snorts frosting the morning air, how it all became the tractor. He lies in the pajamas she washed yesterday and yesterday and yesterday. She watches him walk back across the fields, hears each footfall as he takes his place behind the vanishing horses. It's a nice one, isn't it?
That's very cool.
That's a lovely poem.
Yeah.
That's a lovely poem. It's dedicated R.S. Scott, 1931 to 2008. So I think it's an uncle, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful poem.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And also another thing which I got this week, if maybe so, but I got a no surprise. I've always been highly suspicious of poetry societies.
Why is that?
Well, why is that now? I think it's because I've always reckoned that writing a poem such a solitary bloody act that you don't actually join a society. In fact, you're doing the opposite. You're leaving society. Anyway, having said that, the New Zealand Poetry Society has worked away quietly, despite odd jibes from people. I've never been rude about them. It's just I've never really clicked into that sort of thing. But every so often I'm reminded how wrong I am and how much good stuff they do produce. And they've just sent me their new, it's called Moments in the Whirlwind, and it's, what is it? It's an anthology made up of what they consider, and there's some great poems in it, what they consider the best poems of the year. And could I read you one?
Yeah.
It's by a person called Frankie McMillan. I imagine Frankie spelled with an I-E, but that makes it a woman, I'm not sure. This is a commended poem. So Michael Harlow, the Australian, my apologies, Christchurch poet, originally from Greece, been in New Zealand many years. He was the judge, and this is one of the ones he highly commended, which I love. And it's by Frankie McMillan. and it's called No Money in Hungarians. My mother fills the house with foreign men. Their names, Laos, Stefan, Zhashka, are the startled cries of birds. They throw back their heads, showing gold fillings in their black molars. I will teach you English, she says. I will find you beautiful wives. But first, a few things. She empties a bag of potatoes. Like this, she runs the tap. Like this, she scrapes the long peel into the sink. This is the man's job. The Hungarians arm wrestle on the living room floor, one man lined up against the other, their elbows sharp as a cow's bony hip. Stefan remembers to spit on his palm. Hands lock, how they push and grunt. New Zealand women will be happy with you, my mother calls. She cuts lunches, complains they never bring their wrappers home for reuse.
Yeah.
Nice, eh?
Yeah. That's really kind of captures...
Really, really lovely. And there's one other one which I'd love to have time, because it's a woman who's put it all together, and her name is, the one who wrote to me, and her name is Laura Gilbert. But I came across this poem because of the anthology, Moments in the Whirlwind. It's got sort of basically pretty much one poem per person, or some have got a couple, but I didn't know who had written it. Then I discovered to my pleasure that it, in fact, it was written by Laura Gilbert, and it's called Having an Older Sister. It's like opening an unlabelled tin, expecting spaghetti and getting baked beans instead. It's like hearing the old hit 45 and remembering I preferred the little-known song on the B-side. It's like rereading Gone with the Wind and wishing this time Scarlett would be content with Rhett. It's like going to the letterbox and collecting the mail, only to find it's been misdirected and isn't for me after all. It's like borrowing the latest bestseller from the library and discovering that someone else has already been through it, circling page numbers 17, 18, and 42. It's like poring over fashion catalogues and having to settle for clothes that have been worn before and seen better days. It's like learning to recite the alphabet when you're 2 and being shown off to the neighbours, then choking on the letter B. It's like looking in a mirror and seeing a woman who could be me. Yeah. So thanks and congratulations. I mean, I don't want to sound like so on too good or anyone, but bloody lovely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, congratulations, New Zealand. You know.
Sounds like poetry is very much very healthy. The scene, so-called scene, is very healthy at the moment. There's a lot
I would
coming
say
out.
so. I mean, if they're producing that many good poems, I think they're. It does speak well, and people who aren't sort of caught up. But when I was sort of being sounding a bit negative about the Poetry Society idea, in fact, maybe it's more freer of things than if you publish in the sort of literary pages of magazines like Sport and Landfall and things, where everyone's out to, I mean. So everyone's got their place. Personally, I just stick to doing it myself. But it's and just to finish off, and for the year on a little one here, a last little poem for the year from me is by Richard Langston. It's only 5 lines. It's called A Funny Wee Song. Love is confusing. Sometimes I don't know whether it's that I love you or I simply love me being with you with the stereo on. Anyway, so it's at the end of the year for us.
It is. What are you planning in the next few weeks?
I think it'll take me a week to get over Green Day.
Yeah.
And that'll take at least a week, and then after that I will sort of review the situation.
Okay, good.
Review this, but I think I'll be taking. I've got some shows coming up, but I've got one on Sunday in Auckland on Sunday night. It's a private sort of thing, quite a big party.
Anything on New Year's?
No, I don't believe in all that stuff. No, I stay well clear. Last Christmas Day, Alf was with his mum, and so it wasn't with me. And last Christmas Day, it just happened this way. I didn't see anyone or speak to anyone all day. And I thought, that's a bit lonely, really, but I wasn't lonely. I was actually quite happy. And then the next day, the phone went mad. People were ringing up saying, "Oh, happy Christmas, happy Christmas." I said, I've already had my Christmas. Thank you very much. Well, Wammo, you have a good Christmas.
Yeah, I will. Best of the season to you too.
Look, thank you very much over the year too. It's been I always enjoy. I always look forward to 20 to 9 on a Friday. When the phone rings, I think, it must be Friday, it must be 20 to 9, it must be Wammo.
Look, do you think we should do it all again next year?
If you'll have me, I would love to.
With a new story.
With a new story.
Yeah.
Hey, good one, but we'll keep that same theme. I love that Kokako and Angelina and Don McGlash and guitar.
That's there to stick around.
Is that there to stick around?
Yeah, we'll keep that.
Good one, Wammo.
Yeah. All right, see you, Sam.
All the best to you.
Later.
See ya.
That was a little something for the weekend with Sam Hunt, only on Kiwi FM.